First of all, thanks for coming to this meetup, and I'd like to thank Aaron for organizing this. It's really early days for Crystal, and this is really awesome to be a part of something like. So today I'm gonna talk about Crystal and Kemal. It's really hard to pronounce for foreigners, but it's pronounced like Kemal. I don't know why, but Spanish people pronounce it perfectly, but the others are not so good. Let me introduce myself. I am Serdar Dogruyol. Most of the people call me Sedo. Actually, I am that guy in that picture. I seem like pretty different right now. I work as a lead developer at Protel, Turkey, which is kind of like building point of sale systems for biggest customers. So it's kind of very different job, not some crowd web apps or stuff like that. Uh, I'm a Rubyist. Using Ruby for like nearly 5 years, and so I'm a recent Crystal enthusiast, or you can call it Crystal evangelist or something like that. I really like it a lot. I organize Ruby Turkey, and I recently started Crystal Turkey as an organizer. We recently had our first meetup, and it was like pretty great. Uh, I'm also an active open source developer. I like to, open source as much as I can. That's why I created Kemal and improving it as much as I can. I'm also a language lover. I like to explore as much as I can. Uh, yeah, you can call me polyglot, as both in programming and in languages. In normal languages, I speak Turkish, English, some Chinese, and I really like languages and exploring them. You can ping me at #Dogruyol hashtag, and you can shoot me anything whenever you want. I'm open to questions. Okay, so let's start with this crystal stuff. Uh, Most of the people ask me why Crystal and not something else like, the modern programming languages right now, which are Go, Rust, D, maybe Nim, and there are a lot of other languages that are currently available and production ready right now. The thing is that I mostly dabbled with all that languages. I like Rust, but the thing is that it's not so product. Like I am struggling with the compiler all the time, and the borrow checker is like, okay, don't do that, don't do this, you can't compile that, and it's like I don't feel free like I feel in Ruby. I wandered for like 1 year or more and looked into a lot of other languages, and then I came into Crystal, and it was like I felt at home. The thing is that because it's based on Ruby, and most of the dynamic things and most of the stuff that I can do with Ruby, which are awesome by the way, are possible in Crystal too. So that's why I picked Crystal, and the thing is that uh, I think I made the right choice with that, because it's gaining the traction, and most of the people come that it's a really great language for the upcoming years, and that's why I say Crystal is awesome. Like I said, the expressing is of.
I have a question real quick.
Shoot me.
Why not Rubinius or JRuby?
Oh, great question. The thing is that I've tried all of those, but you know what? Oh, Jesus. The JRuby startup time is really killing all the productivity out of me. The thing is that booting up a single empty Rails project takes like 20 seconds or more. Think a production app like you have tens of thousands lines of codes. It's taking like more than 1 minute to boot up the Rails console or the application. The boot up time is really slow for JRuby. Ruby News is another story because it's not actively maintained.
Okay.
Like JRuby. So that's why those are out of option. I really like JRuby, by the way. JRuby 19 is really awesome. The guys behind it are really awesome. Charles and all the other guys are doing great job. But I don't know. It's not like, it's killing off the productivity. If they figure out that startup time and all those GVM magics, then it's gonna be awesome, I think.
Cool. Thanks.
Moving on. Yeah, sure. Moving on. Like I said, I really like the expressiveness of Ruby. It's really great. That's why I feel loving with that. And also, the answer to that for Crystal is that the expressiveness of Ruby is great, but in the end, it's not so good. You have to write some parts in C, create extensions, and so. So Crystal came up with that great idea of combining all that beautiful size of Ruby with the super performance of C. So basically, those two reasons are like really great, and I think it's never been tried before. Correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, Crystal feels like Ruby. It's like you can do all the magics of Ruby, but you have the performance C. So it's like over 9,000, but actually it's over 90,000 because it's super duper awesome, or I can't even describe it. It's really great. And to prove that, I have a benchmark for you. It's really literally isn't. And you can see that Kemal is like Sinatra, but it's like maybe 100 times faster than that. I like benchmarking, by the way. I do benchmarking a lot. Some of the times it's not good to do benchmarks, but you can feel a language's performance from some general benchmarks. And I did some Hello World benchmark with Kemal and Sinatra for this use case. And as you can see, Kemal serves around 100K requests per second with less than 1 millisecond. Those are microseconds, by the way. So it's like 1400 microseconds, which is like instantaneous. And Sinatra with Puma does only 2K, and its average response 40 milliseconds, which is like more than 1,000 times slower or something like that. So the thing is that I write the same code, but I get like super performance for free. So I'm gonna be talking about Kemal. So here we go. So people like this logo. I'm not sure what you think about this. Do you know what this is? I mean, this logo.
I heard Fez. I was thinking Fez too. Is it Fez?
Yeah, it is. Great. So you guys know that. Yeah, it's Fez actually, and some of the people think that it's a book with some logo on it or so. Uh, there is a website for Kemal which holds all the document benchmarks, all the info you can get from it. It's been developed for, let me see, for like more than 4 or 5 months, and it's been going great. Still improving and still lots of things to do. The thing is that how many of you guys use Sinatra instead of Rails? Or do you even use Sinatra at all?
Yes, sometimes.
Sometimes. So you guys know that Sinatra is really easy to use. Like you can bootstrap an app in like 5 minutes or so, right? The thing is that I've come to Crystal. I've looked at all the web frameworks out there, and there didn't seem to be any, any easy to use, Snapple like stuff. So I built Kemal instead. I've taken all the idioms from Sinatra, not all, but most of them, and I've applied to Crystal, and in the end, it did work well. And actually, it did work pretty well, more than I expected. Uh, it became so easy to use, like Sinatra, and it also became super fast. Like in the previous benchmarks, it's like you write the same code, but it's super fast by default thanks to LLVM, and it's fully featured. It's not just for playing around. You can build real apps with Kemal right now. Even though Crystal is not 1.0 yet, people use Kemal to build stuff. And use it to build some APIs, which will be super fast and super scalable. Uh, I said it's fully featured, and these are the features that actually it supports REST by default, so you can build RESTful APIs with it pretty easily. It has the same DSL as Sinatra. I'll show you the examples. The big difference is that Ruby is not good at real-time stuff. Most of the people ditch Ruby for WebSocket and use Node.js or another technology for it. But the thing is that Crystal is really good at real-time stuff and concurrency. I don't know if Luz talked about channels and concurrency in Crystal.
He didn't.
Okay. Crystal has built-in primitives like Go, which are channels. Basically, it's the same. So instead of Go routines, you have channels and you have fibers, which are pretty cheap to create. You can create like 10 millions of channels with Crystal. It's pretty cheap. And the thing is that having channels and all those concurrency stuff like Go makes real-time stuff like WebSocket pretty easy. And Crystal's HTTP stdlib has WebSocket support in it, so I built that into Kemal with some really cool DSLs. So you can create WebSocket servers in just minutes, and that's awesome. And it's not that easy in Ruby and Sinatra. Kemal also has JSON support by default. You can build JSON APIs, render whatever JSON you want. It has a built-in static file server, and I can assure you that it's pretty fast. It's enough to use it for production without Nginx, because Crystal is fast and static file serving is also pretty fast. Probably you won't gonna need Nginx for static file serving like you do in Rails in production. And Kemal is also pretty, elastic and pretty pluggable. You can replace whatever middleware you want. For example, you can remove Kemal's logger with your remove Kemal's logger, and you can plug your own logger into it. It's pretty simple. All the things are middleware. Kemal itself is also a middleware, so you can also replace Kemal's built-in routing, and you can also extend it with your own routing engine if you want. All the stuff, including error handling, logging, and static file serving, everything is a middleware, and all those stuff are pluggable and exchangeable, which is awesome, by the way. And we have view templating, dynamic view templating. We use a library called Slang, which is like Tilt from Ruby. Basically, it's a generic interface for multiple template engines like Currently, there are some template engines in Crystal. There is ECR, which stands for Embedded Crystal, pretty similar to ERB, Embedded Ruby. There is something called what was that? There is something called Slang, which is like Hamel alternative for Crystal. It's pretty cool and fast. So Kemal has dynamic view support, and you can use whatever template language you like. Moving on, this is what Kemal looks like, and it feels pretty familiar if you are using Sinatra before. And it's like super easy. You just write like less than 10 lines of code. If you prepare Kemal there, it's like 3 lines of code to build an index page which renders hello world. Other than that, I've said that it's super easy to create WebSocket endpoints. It's actually just these 2 lines. You call vs and you name the endpoint, like we name it here socket, and then you open a block which yields the socket for you, and then you can send message to that socket when it connects. So basically, that's just what it takes to build WebSocket server with Kemal. It's like, I don't know, I haven't seen something like that before, so I think it's pretty awesome and super easy. You can also listen all other events like on open, on close, and everything like that. And I'm gonna show you a real chat app built with Kemal and React.js later on. Is there any question, by the way? Am I moving too fast, or is it okay?
It's all good.
Great, great, great. Okay, moving on. Like I said, it has built-in WebSockets, and the thing is that it's super easy and it's it's super fast and efficient. So, like I said, I like benchmarks, and to compare with other technologies, I choose Node because, like I said, it's pretty popular. Node is pretty popular for WebSocket, and here I compared Crystal Kemal with VS from Node, and the results are pretty awesome. Like you see, Kemal uses less than 2% of CPU and consumes around 11 megabytes of memory. On the other end, with same load, Node consumes more than around 40% of CPU time with nearly 1 gigs of memory. So this comes to that Crystal is really performant and really efficient. So that's why it proves that it's really awesome again and really efficient. Meanwhile, I forgot to add the GIST to that benchmark. I'm gonna add it later and share it with you. You can find it GIST in this slide later. And it's demo time. I'm gonna show you a blog app built with Kemal, and let's see. Okay, guys. So actually, I'm not gonna write code, but I'm gonna show you a real blog built with Kemal. Sure, great. So the thing is that Kemal has some support libraries for connecting to DBs, and so there is Kemal MySQL, which gives you an easy to use way to connect to MySQL. So basically, this blog runs on MySQL, and like you see, there is connection options here, like which DB to use, what's the user host, and etc. And there is an easy macro here, like you say MySQL connect and pass the options hash here, and there you go, you have MySQL connection there. And you can access that connection in your environment, which is yielded by the block here. So here we have like all the CRUD methods here, like rendering the index page, which redirects to articles, and there is new page listing. There is index, there is show, there is edit, and there is articles, which has post method, by the way. So like I said, Kemal supports REST, so it's like Sinatra. You have this cool DSL. Can you hear me? Someone disconnected. I thought it was me, sorry. Okay, cool. So there is this cool DSL methods here. So it's like post, we have all the REST verbs out there. So I'm gonna show you how this works with some cool interface. By the way, like I said, Kemal has view rendering. So let's open index ECR. So basically, it's like, you know, when you scaffold from Rails. So here we'll list all the articles here with actions and stuff like that. So I build it like it's a Rails app. All this. So we have a views folder here, and inside we have a master template here, like application ERB in Rails. So basically, we yield the other parts in here in contents. So you can customize your layout ECR here, and it affects all the pages, which is pretty simple. So I'm gonna run this and show you. Can you see the terminal, by the way? Okay, sure. Shall I make it bigger?
Please.
Okay, I'm gonna make it for 24. Great. So I'm inside my folder here, Kemal blog. So actually, this is the default structure for any Crystal app. Let me show you that Crystal has a great command for building apps. So you basically create a new app with Crystal in it, and there is two options here, either a library or an application. So I'm gonna say app and sample for the name, and Crystal creates all the folder structure for us, which is awesome, by the way, I think. It's like the same structure. I created Kemal block in that way. So I didn't show you the dependencies file Luis talked. So there is this short.yaml file here. You specify all the dependencies here, like I need Kemal, so I edit it here. I needed Kemal MySQL. I specify versions like this, branches like this, and etc. And to pull all those dependencies, you use shards. By default, it fetches all the dependencies from GitHub, like you see. So basically, that's how you use shards and install Kemal and all the dependencies all together. So let's run it. You don't need to run shards. So there are some deprecations here. So the thing is that now Kemal is running at port 3000. Let's go there.
Yeah, we want to see it compiled.
Sure thing. Hold on. So there is already a compiled version, but I'm gonna remove it and build it from scratch. And I'm gonna build it with all the compiler optimizations. So as you see, building with release flag takes some time, especially if you are using a lot of libraries and so. So that's it. It's really quick boot up time, like you see. So now it's running on 3000. Now I'm gonna share the browser with you and go to my localhost 3000. Boom, here we are. So that's how it looks like here. So like I said, With a new article here, Guten Abend, Vienna, or Vienna, how do you say it? Hello from Istanbul. So, so here we are. So it's like super fast, but my encodings are kinda screwed up right now. So, like you see, it's like instantaneous, and you can edit it, like delete it, and there is some cool pop-up like Rails. We also do that, and that's basically it. We built a blog like this, which is pretty simple and takes like less than 30 lines of code or something like that. And like you see, it's I don't know, it's instantaneous for me at least. And there is a guy on the internet which shares his crystal learnings on a blog which he built with crystal. So I'm also gonna share it with you later. So continuing with the demo. By the way, do you guys have any question here? I can show you the response times. By the way, like I said.
There's a question.
Yeah, sure.
This block binary, what are the dependencies? If I want to host it, what do I have to copy? And how large is it?
Okay, sure. So you are basically talking about deploying it, right, to other hosts. For that, for now, you have to have Crystal in there, or you have to link all the libraries by yourself. But the easiest way is that you go and install Crystal host, and then you just copy that binary there, and that's it. It's gonna run.
So the binary and the templates, or just the binary?
What? You have to copy the templates too. Yes. Those are not statically linked into binary. So basically, what you need to do is copy this folder to your host and run the binary like this. That's it.
Okay. And how large is the binary?
Let me see. I can't read this, Jesus. Let me open the Finder and see for ourselves. It says 919 kilobytes, so it's not so big, I think. Can you see it?
Yeah. Okay.
What?
I think just with Go's runtime is around 3 megs. Yeah.
Sorry?
He was saying just like Go, but I think that even just with Go's runtime, that's around 3 megs.
Yeah, the thing is that Crystal's binaries are pretty small because it's dynamically linked, unlike Go. Go links all the things statically, as you know. So Crystal is different. Currently, it links all the things dynamically, so the binary size is pretty much smaller than Go. And I don't know if you have seen that yesterday there was a blog post from one of my Japanese friends, and he built the tiniest binary with Crystal. It was like 146 bytes.
Can you run?
Yeah, look. Hold on, I'm gonna show you that, which is pretty awesome, and shows you that Crystal is capable of low-level stuff. That's it. So it's 146 bytes only. You need to check this repo because it's super awesome, I think. And you can do inline assembly calls in Crystal, like with this macro.
Just in case.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
Okay. Moving on. I can answer more questions if you want. I was talking about these response times, and you can see that it's pretty fast. Those are all microseconds, guys. So as you see, index takes only 9 microseconds, which is like instantaneous. And even static file serving is pretty fast. Like you see, it's like taking more like 200 microseconds, so it's also fast. So that's it for my demo. And moving on, let's see what I will. And let's talk about who uses Kemal right now. And the thing is that we as Protel use it for some of our services. Like we use it for our documentation server, which does pull all the documentation from GitHub and builds some stuff with it and serves it with Kemal. And also there is Reinforced QA, which uses Kemal in production. They use it for serving their test badges or something like that. And the thing is that Crystal is not 1.0 yet, but there are lots of interest in it, and there are all companies using that. So I think it's really awesome in this stage. And there is a book I'm writing, and it's totally free, by the way. It's called Crystal for Rubies. You can read it at crystalforrubies.com. Actually, let me show you that. It's like, I don't know if you know Rust for Rubies from Steve Klubnik. It's practically the same. You can read it online, or you can read it, download it, and read it on your Kindle or whatever you want. You can download PDF, MOBI, EPUB, all the formats. It is still work in progress, but there is already 10 chapters. There is even a chapter about concurrency and channels here. So you can read it from there, like how do you spawn channels, how do you do concurrent stuff. And like I said, it's a work in progress, but it's a good resource for learning Crystal and starting out with all those cool stuff. So there's Crystal for Rubies. And that's it for my slides. I can take your questions if you have more. Any questions?
Could you do static linking to when you do the compiling step as well?
Yeah, that's possible, but the thing is that you have to you have to configure all the linkers by yourself, like all the GCC flags and all that stuff. And there is some effort to even exclude the Crystal standard lib from compiling, because some people want to run this on bare metal, and they try some very low level stuff, which I'm not good at. And there are some issues about static compiling, static linking, and that's definitely interesting. But I haven't done it myself, but you could do that, I think.
And something which is not related to your framework, do you know if there are any bindings to GUI libraries in Crystal?
Yeah, that's a good question. The thing is that there is a GUI library for Mac, which is written by my friend. It's actually a binding for Cocoa, the Apple's framework for Mac OS 10. You can write Crystal app. You can write Mac apps in Crystal with that. Let me show the library. It's called Hoop, like this, Hoop CR, and it's pretty awesome. The thing is that you can write Mac apps with this, and it works. You can build some, stuff with this, like a Twitter client or login form, or I don't know. And basically, this uses all the C bindings that's available from Objective C. Like, if you look into this, these allow all bindings. Like, let me show you a big one, and is really big, like NS class. There is no binding here. No, it's not here. Let's see. Like it's binding all to the CF, AppKit, WebKit, all those frameworks with C bindings. And Hoop is pretty good, so I advise you that. Other than that, I don't know if there is any binding to Qt or stuff like that. And
But that's probably only a matter of time to get them.
Yeah, because it's super easy to build C bindings, so sooner or later someone will come and build some bindings for that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, great.
So you have this. That's some crazy stuff happening on the screen. You have built a something that's like a Sinatra clone. Are there rails? Are there railsy things yet?
The thing is that there is a one, but it's pretty alpha. Like it's called Frost. Let me show you also. It's created from one of core developers, Crystal's core developer, which is a super smart guy, by the way. Let me show you. It's this. It's basically a Rails clone, and the thing is that it's like Rails but super fast, like under 1 millisecond responses. And the thing is that this has migrations, models, an active record like library, and the documentation is pretty good. But the thing is that it's still in the making. And like you see, let's see. Like you see, there is even migrations like in Rails, like you write this, like create table, blah blah, and then you run this make script, like make db migrate, and it's done. Pretty much Rails like, and it's in the making. And I think that when it comes to 1.0, it's gonna be like big, very big, because it's gonna it's taking a lot of stuff from Rails, and which is cool. So there is Frost, and that's it. Any questions?
Do you have any other favorite parts? Like how do you? I've looked at the concurrency a little bit with its spawn and channels, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How is it? Is it intuitive? Is it like how do you feel about it?
The thing is that it's pretty much like Go. It's the same sprite, and I can say that it's really easy to use once you get around with channels, because channels are kind of a bit different than standard concurrency models, right? It's not like threads. You pass messages around, so you just need to learn how channels works, and then it's super easy. You just write spawn and you do stuff in background. Super easy, like Go. And the thing is that it's not multiple core right now. It's super fast.
So it's not multi-core right now.
Yeah, it's not multi-core right now, but even without multi-core, you can see that it achieves like 100K of requests per second. And I think it shows its potential by that. Once it goes multiple core, I can't imagine the possibilities with all that performance, right? It's gonna be like
and you said there's fibers. You were talking about fibers too, so it has fibers as well.
Yeah, the thing is that actually you are not advised to use fibers by itself. Actually, spawn is a macro too, which wraps around fiber. So basically, spawn does use fiber in the background.
Okay.
I also explained that in my book. Spawn creates a macro, and spawn is a macro, and it creates a fiber in the background. Let me show the syntax for you. It's super easy. And the thing is that macros are awesome. I like that. Instead of Ruby's method programming. Like you see, the Crystal compiler is also super easy to read. You know, it's here.
Yeah, are you showing us code right now because we can just see you?
Ah, hold on. Ah, Jesus.
I think maybe you were
I
showing us
stopped.
code earlier and we were looking at you.
Jesus. Sorry,
That's fine.
sorry, guys. Uh, can you see this?
Yes.
That's Spawn, guys, and it's just creating fiber and yielding it for you. That's it. And
And how
also
does
it
it look
includes
like?
that scheduler. And this is concurrent CR of Crystal's core, which is super easy to read. I also like Crystal in that way because you can. Crystal is written in Crystal. It's self-hosted. So Crystal, you can just go and read the source, which is super easy and great way to learn the languages. I was also wondering about, okay, I know fiber, but how Crystal achieves concurrency with that. And then I opened this file, which is concurrent CR in concurrency folder, and there is also channel CR and stuff like that. And when you look into those, you can see that it's pretty easy to understand. Like I said, spawn is a macro, and it just spawns a fiber, and then it yields. That's it.
Do you have any
Practical.
examples? Do you have any code examples that you could get to fairly quickly that would show it in use?
Sure. The thing is that my first library with Crystal wasn't Kemal. I built an, uh, you guys know Apache Bench or VRK
Yeah.
testing, right? I built something called Cryload, which uses channels and Spawn for concurrency. Actually, this is a VRK clone written in Crystal, and it works pretty great, by the way. You can use it. There is an even brief recipe to install it on OS 10. Can you see it, by the way?
Yep.
Am I sharing my screen? Uh, it's pretty like VRKey. Like you see, you can use cryload, specify your URL and your request number. And let me show the code. It's pretty simple, by the way. And I use channels here. Like here it is. There is this request channel. Here I created spawn fiber here, and then I create requests endlessly, and then I receive the response on this spawn receive loop. I do this in the background, and there I receive the response without blocking the main execution. So this was my first Crystal project, and it was a really good use case of channels and all that concurrent stuff. If you want, you can read Cryload's source code. It's like pretty easy to read,
Cool.
and you can see that I created HTTP request and I just send it to background and loop all the time and do load on the URL. Pretty simple. So yeah. Any other questions? Hmm?
We are fresh out of questions.
Yeah, like I said, basically, Crystal is awesome, and I really believe that it's gonna be really great for the next year because currently Crystal is not 1.0 yet, but it's going strong, and the community is growing day by day. If you jump in right now, you can see a language grow, a community grow, and it's all the people in the community are super nice, like you guys. So it's great to be in here and great to be in this community with all of you. So thank you for your time and for inviting me and for making this meetup possible to all of you.
Thank you.
That's it from, yeah. Thank you.
Just I guess one more quick question before you go. Do you know if there's a
Sure.
Do you know if there's a 1.0 roadmap?
Sure, I know because I'm with core guys. They're all super nice. I think for next year we can see 1.0 or something like that. But you know, that all depends on the support. Crystal is currently supported by Manas in Argentina, as you know, and they have limited time dedicated to Crystal. So if the community support grows and there is a fundraiser on Bind Source, I don't know if you have seen that, but there is this fundraiser on Bind Source, and basically you can help Crystal get production ready with your donation. This is pretty slow, but yeah. Did you know that Mats donated to Crystal?
No.
And he was first. He donated like $500 or something like that, maybe more. I don't know. But Jesus, this is not coming up. I don't know why. Site is down or something.
We can look
I'm
it
not
up
sure.
ourselves.
Okay, there is a fundraiser here, and you can see that great. It came up suddenly. Okay, so this is the fundraiser I'm talking about, and I'm also supporting Crystal in here. And there you can see the roadmap here and the rewards for sponsoring, for donating to Crystal, and you can see that there is monthly goals here. And the thing is that the support is growing, but like I said, yeah, it depends on India. It depends on resource and all this stuff. I'm looking for Max, but I
There
can't
it
see.
is.
Yeah, easier. He donated $500, so he's practically supporting Crystal as the grandfather.
Nice.
Okay, yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks a
Any other
lot.
questions?
I don't. Is there
Yeah,
any other?
thanks.
We ended the questions, and I asked a question, and then there are questions or no questions. No more questions. No, we are fresh out of questions. And thank you. Whoa, that's crazy happened on the screen. So
Great, guys. Thank you a lot. Thanks really much. You rock.